So right off the bat, I'm like thinking, if I were to, first of all, like one thing I didn't like looking at this piece was the fact that everything was just kind of mellow. There wasn't, so like this is something I fixed in my newest pieces, where I start to use more extreme like brightnesses and values, or rather than just keep them within the mid tones. Right, that's something I kind of figured out. So right off the bat, I'm just gonna slam colors in. I'm not like I don't really care what it's gonna look like, but I do want to put in the colors. Like if you've ever watched my other streams, you'll realize I want the colors in the on the canvas as soon as possible. So the reason why I'm brightening the old man here is because he is closer to the camera, like so to speak, than the woman, and we can assume that the woman is farther if she's farther in the background, that and the background is black, then obviously she'll take some of the background atmosphere, which means it makes sense for the closer character to be brighter, and then as it dissipates into distance, it's darker, and it kind of pushes the story as well because she is meant to be evil in the story, so putting her into deeper shadow kind of helps that effect here. So I'm just gonna slam some of the colors, and now the hand is coming into distance towards us, so the hand could be a bit brighter than usual here. So something like that. So one thing I really liked about this piece is just the textures I did on the old man here. That's something I want to retain without, like, I don't want to just do the normal white blinding type of light, which I do for a lot of my work. I want to leave some of that texture, the sickly old man texture, and so yeah, that already feels a lot better here. Second of all, I'm gonna think about, is there a way to make it a little bit more colorful? So I usually play a lot with blues, but I'm feeling perhaps, oh, let's make a new layer just in case I screw up here. Let's give it a little bit blue, but also try to add some reds to it. I'm feeling a bit of red. Something like that would be pretty cool. Yeah, that looks pretty cool here. It means I do have to fix the temperature of this woman's skin on the back here. Depending on how sickly I want her to be, but she's not meant to be that like zombie-like, so I'm probably gonna add some reds here, just to freshen up her skin a little bit more, especially her lips. Like there's something about really red lipstick that kind of really accentuates I don't know how to explain it. It's so, it's there's a seductive quality to it, but also like a really diabolical like red type of feeling to it. Not to say like red lipstick means you're evil or whoever's wearing it, but yeah, just giving it a bit of the color language in there. I do want to introduce some reds to the old man as well, but I don't want to really push it, just because sickly skin has less loses a bit of the reds if you ever study skin, so a little bit of reds would help, but not too much here. So I do need to because this is gonna be a book, like part of the book in my story. An artwork for my book. I mean, I need to make sure that the illustrations are going to be consistent. So I will need to add some of the textures I usually use for my other illustrations recently, just so that it unifies. So like that's something, of course, I figured out over the year, like since last year, just adding a few extra textures like this brushes that I made up. I'm not feeling this neck here. That's an anatomical mistake. If she's resting her elbow on his shoulder, then there should be a little bit more to it. His neck can still be a little long here, as an exaggeration. But yeah, don't need to make it like way too long there. Oh, I'll draw my signature out again, but could cover it. So something like that. I could even just pump up the saturations a little bit. I'm feeling a little bit more green, so I'll change the. I'll shift the temperature a little bit towards the cyans. Something like that. So already if I, so the original, so already there's a little bit more to it than what I had before. So like already I can see, okay, this is something I could put into my storybook. I'm very concerned about the brightness of her face here. In terms of temperature, I do like it after adjusting some of the colors, but the other thing is I have to consider the style. Like, so this is a bit more realistic, obviously. I'm trying to think if it's if I'm going to maybe exaggerate a few more things just so that it's consistent with my other illustrations. Just because I kind of put more anime proportions recently, so it's. I have to think about it, but especially since as I do other illustrations with this character, that I'll kind of figure out if I need to do that. For now, I'll just leave it like this. The colors are pretty much okay. I'm just not too sure about the proportions there. I'm feeling a bit of the channel layer, so as with other streams, I like to use channel layers just so that just spices up a few things. So I'm gonna add a little blue tint around the whole piece, just because I'm feeling the blue here. As with before, like, channels are pretty good at just sticking colors onto the canvas really quickly, so I can use them for mixing purposes. I kind of like her face. It's just I'm kind of worried it might look a little bit too off-putting compared to my other to how the book looks right now. So yeah, that's something to consider. I'm gonna think about it, but definitely in terms of how sinister she can look, I can maybe push it a little bit more. And of course, I can start adding a few more textures here. I mean, like, this is working off a finished piece, basically, or presumably a finished piece. So I can just put textures down. Yeah, thank you. I completely forgot which references I had for her evil smile, but I did, because this was a industry level convention, I was very stingy on getting the right getting the right references and just making sure everything looks anatomically correct and interesting. So yeah, I completely forgot who I referenced for her style, but it was a celebrity. And you'll find that there's some really quirky qualities that you can find with celebrities. Some celebrities that you might not find in stock photos. So like it gives a little bit of a flair to your work. Yeah, the chat stream is here. You can ask questions. It is a smaller stream. Like last week, we had upwards of like 9+ people or something, like 9 or 10 people. But now is a little bit awkward because I do understand it's August 30th. I know in Canada, like right now, there's a lot of things open, and people are getting sick of staying at home. So there's a lot of stuff going on with people. So I doubt they're going to be here today. So feel free to ask questions, any concerns, that sort of thing, while I'm doing this. Just so that I don't feel like I'm just talking to myself. But yeah, I don't like who would I have referenced? I don't even know. It's been a while. Like it's like the one thing I get, like in terms of like knowing celebrities and stuff. It seems like very basic stuff, like basic as in like the derogatory version of it. Like it seems very basic to follow celebrity culture and stuff. But there's I tell myself there's benefits to knowing celebrities and stuff, just so that you can have just references for your work. So it's like it's good to know like who you can just bring up immediately, right? So like, I mean, like rest in peace Chadwick Boseman, like the Black Panther actor, but for sure like a lot of fan art and a lot of art in general where like they're looking to like have a like dark skinned or African American type of man or something. A lot of people you can definitely see they would have referenced Chadwick Boseman. Like you'll find that a lot of times. Like the funny phenomenon is that when someone gets popular, you'll start to see the person, the celebrity in a lot of work. It's weird. It's weird, but it makes sense because people are be like, oh, I need reference, and they search up like the really popular people at the time. So and that changes every year as well, right? So it's one of those things where like I don't even remember who I referenced here. Like who was popular last year? Probably the Avengers, like cast and stuff. So it might be one of those. I don't even know. But yeah, it's very important. Like if I were to be really honest, like it's very important to avoid making someone look like a celebrity. Even though it's really hard if you're going to reference them. Like again, like the Chadwick Boseman example is like guaranteed a lot of people reference to his face for a lot of work. In the professional like realm as well, like video games and stuff. If they needed like a black man or something, they most likely would have used his face for something. But yeah, it's very important not to just copy him, like or copy whoever you're referencing, just because like it might kind of like hint to like people would look at that and be like, oh that's Chadwick Boseman or LeBron James or something, and then like it kind of ruins the effect, the immersion. And I've also heard like people getting really pissed off. Like I believe there was a drama drama like 2 years ago or something where if you follow like the League of Legends scene, there was like there's like a character Aurelia from I'm gonna bring her up here just so that because I'm gonna be linking this VOD to the YouTube, my YouTube here. So if you're not too familiar who Aurelia is, hopefully there's no like lewd fan art appearing, but yeah, but apparently there was a girl on Instagram or something who claimed that it was her face, and like a lot of people are like, hey, it does look like her and stuff, and then like it kind of caused a lot of problems. So like, yeah, it's one of those things where it's a very minute point, but at the same time, like just like whenever you're referencing something, just be very careful about copying every feature and stuff. Angelina Jolie is another one that's really that has this effect on a lot of art. I'm not liking this hand. I'll probably have to get reference for it, but or at least draw it out and see what happens. So one thing that like whenever I look back at my old art, I always have something that I screwed up in terms of anatomy. I always think like I'm fine, like my anatomy's getting better, but like, and it is, right? It is, but I always screw up something. No, I don't use 3D pose reference. I always use photographs. Just because, like, for me, like, the reason why I don't use 3D pose reference is because a lot of times their idealized proportions, they're really good for studying. I'm not gonna, my stance on it is, like, I don't hate it, right? But there's something about photographs because there's a lot of quirks that people have that you just can't replicate in 3D software of any kind. Because of course, like people had to render and model the 3D models, right? So you're gonna get a little bit too perfect of a human body a lot of times, or they deliberately try not to be perfect and it looks a little bit too imperfect. But like when you use photographs, sometimes it just has there's quirkiness that you just can't get. Like the way, like let's say I'm going to get references for a hand here right later on. I'm going to be there might be a little bit of like a difference in how someone might be holding a neck or something that like a 3D model artificially would show, but like maybe there's like a little bit of quirkiness that the person in the photograph is going to act out the scene, right? So maybe one of her fingers is curled up a lot of more or less. So those are the little things that just make a big difference when it comes to character. You'll find that 3D is like a lot of times like I don't do this I'm not that type of person anymore, but I used to really hate 3D. Nowadays I'm just kind of indifferent, but I do warn people like don't just reference 3D or don't just go become a 3D artist like specifically unless you know your 2D. And a big part of it is because 3D can look really artificial. There's something about the flow, the pipeline of working 3D that makes things a little bit more artificial than they should be. What I mean by that is, like, let's say you take the worst 3D artist, like someone who just goes into 3D that has no clue what 2D is, like hypothetically, right? The models and the characters they do are always going to look really off, and not just because of the proportions, right? You be doing cartoony proportions or whatever, but if you've ever played enough games, and especially indie ones where the budget is low, you'll find that a lot of times the amateur 3D artists, they have no clue how humans really act. And like, while I'm not saying like every 3D pose software has that problem, it is something that I have to take into consideration. Does something look natural? And 3D, a lot of times it really doesn't. It looks really off. So like photographs, while there are some really bad things with photographs too, like don't get me wrong, there photographs, like especially like the really bad stock photos where you know for sure the model is like they're just in it for the money. They're not really trying. Those are really bad too, right? So I don't want to just say 3D software is bad, but so yeah, because photographs do have that problem too. But like there are a lot of really nice photographs too, and I feel like there's a quirkiness with everybody. Like they could be posing the exact same way, but like two different people will have those little things that will set them apart, and that really changes the dynamics of how you gives you ideas. Rather, it gives you ideas on what to do for your own characters. Like even just a little bit of a finger movement, just a little bit different, can give you a lot of great ideas on what to do for your characters. And you start to build up that library of those little things that people do that you might not be sure from the get-go. Yes, 3D posing is very good for proportions, tessai, and testing lighting. So that's the one really good thing. So like obviously you want to have artistic liberty with whenever you get those types of references. Like you have to be able to change on the fly depending on what your composition needs. But no, for sure, like that's the one thing I would say, like the lighting is going to be perfect because it's mathematically calculated, right? So if you need like a really good reference on the lighting, then for sure that sort of thing is great. Proportions less so, because first of all, most people would maybe do cartoony type of styles anyways, so they'll be adjusting the proportions no matter what. Second of all, they correct proportions doesn't really exist. There's something called ideal proportions, but like we have a lot of different types of people in real life. Like the proportions are all over the place. So in general, like point is, like as an artist, you'll probably most likely just change the proportions depending on what you need. You don't want to just have idealized proportions for every single character you have, right? So it's not as much in that regard, but lighting for sure, yeah. Really, yeah, I would use it for lighting, yes. So really, this piece is like, of course, it started off like this, so like there was something to work on, but it's already looking like it could be part of my book now, my new book, despite the fact that it is a piece that I did last year. So, yeah, the proportions on their face, I'll have to really think about it, because again, like, this is meant to be a certain character, and I have to make sure that she is consistent to the rest of the book, so that she doesn't look like a completely different character here. But that will come after. I'm not too worried. I'm more of the big picture. I'm looking at the big picture, and it seems like it's working pretty well here. Maybe add a few sparks here and there. One thing I like to do is like at really bright areas, I just add a few dots here and there, just to insinuate the feeling of dust in the air. So you'll find that if you ever go into a basement or something somewhere that's really dusty, light will bounce off the dust and create these little sparky effects, right? So That's something that's really that I've kind of taken a liking to recently, just because it's a really cool effect. So bring that a little bit. I need to reference the shirt a little bit, but I do believe medieval shirts have like some sort of way to tie it together like that, something like that, right? I'll have to reference it, but could I fix this now? Yeah, this hand was foobar. That's something that the professionals, when I was talking to them, they mentioned that my hands are like, when I draw hands, are still kind of like, sometimes they're just really off. Like sometimes I just get it, but like sometimes I don't, and it looks really weird if I don't get it. Yeah, this looks a lot better. So still a bit off, but I'll probably think about it. Yeah, there's something weird about this area. I might even just redo the whole hand, but it is what it is. That doesn't look too bad. They're like just showing a bit more of the back of the hand here. The thumb could be hidden, honestly. Do I want the thumb to be hidden? That's a question. That's a interesting. I do like the finger going this way, just so that there's a little bit of quirkiness to it. So again, like there's like one mistake a lot of people do is just when someone grabs something, they just have fingers like doing this sort of thing. Like where there's no character in how someone grab. Like imagine there's a fist, right? So you're grabbing like a cylinder or whatever. Did something I had to fix too, where when I'm drawing hands, I just default into like a fist or something, just because I'm really lazy. But like, there's no real character to this. Like usually, there's always going to be someone who has like a finger out, or like they don't hold it as tightly, that sort of thing. So like, it's very important to understand that even hands have character, so that you don't just default into stuff that doesn't look human. And coincidentally, that's something that a lot of amateur 3D artists do as well. So again, like default, like fist type of, it's like, oh, they're grabbing something, so I guess this is a fist. They're grabbing a sword, like, or whatever. But like, you really want to avoid that. Like, it might be extra work, but you really want to capture the quirkiness of how people act. So you're just joining in the stream now. I am refurbishing a old piece I did last year, so that it fits into a storybook. So like this piece, I really think that had potential. It's just that I want to bring it into my skill level now, like a year later, and also like bring it consistently to the new book that I'm making. Yeah, two hands holding a sword is way harder than people think. Like it's actually like, I actually studied this because it was actually a real problem. Since I draw a lot of people with swords and stuff, so like, how do I say it? It's one of those things where you have to consider how tightly someone's grasping the sword and all that when you're drawing the hands, and the positioning of the hands as well. Like sometimes people draw the sword as if it can't be swung, which is very common actually. So yeah, my point is like it's just like we're as artists we have to be doing better. We have to really understand how the mechanics of our body works. I'm not liking this finger. I would even do something like this, like, because so that finger, like after I changed it to white, it kind of killed it killed the it killed the gesture of it. I changed the finger here, so like it kind of made it a little bit weird to me. I'll still have to get reference. I'm not liking this hand, but unless I could just foobar it. Yeah, something like that. So this could be a thumb here. Something like that. I have no clue what I was thinking, like a year ago. So, but yeah, this looks a lot better. Something like that. So thumb there, attached, and then it goes into the back of the hand behind. Yeah, sure, just post it. Again, this is a pretty slow day, so just because I know it's August 30th, in Canada at least, everything's open again, so like there's a lot of events going on and people are kind of tired of being stuck in the house for like 5 months. So yeah, just post it, just post it. You don't have to wait for me. I'll check out the chat. I have 3 monitors, so I have one dedicated for the Discord. So okay, so this is give me a second, I'll save my file here just so that get you the high res here. Those aren't actually bad hands, actually. I'm kind of. So this is a Luna Economy's work here from my Discord chat. So the hands aren't actually that bad. I'm just a little bit concerned about the structure of things here. Oh no, I'm starting to see a few problems here. But this looks a work in progress as well, so I don't want to really rag on it. But there needs to be some indication of the shovel. Like, it feels like something is not right here. Yeah, it'll be something more like this. So the fingers are a little bit too big compared to the palm area. So that's one thing. I'll be very wary about the structure of the arm as well here. Good neck attachment, actually. I will be careful about the jacket here. So one thing is, I would be very careful about the how do I say it? In terms of the overall anatomy, like before you render a lot of things, like I do like how you handle the background a lot of places. Just like just make sure that your anatomy is right before you do all this fancy work, because you're gonna regret it, because you're gonna render these and then you're gonna have to change the anatomy, and that's really bad. So the sizes of the hands are kind of inconsistent as well, so you have to consider that. Head is fine. Yeah, head to neck attachment is fine. Yeah, I will push the rib cage a little bit more here, just so that there's a nice gesture here. Yeah. Yes. Yeah. Good rendering. I'm liking the rendering here. Good, like really nice sleeve here. Just trying to draw out the. I would even bring the arm a little bit downwards, like somewhere right here. Something like that. Yeah. Something like that. What else? Yeah, it's not too bad. It's not too bad. I'm very wary about the size of the handle here. It seems really thick. You won't really. The thing is, like swords, they shouldn't have handles this thick. In most cases, because it's just harder to grip in the fight. Like, so yeah, sword handles would not be that thick. No, I'm trying to. So like that sort of thing would be a little bit. He would be grabbing a little bit thinner here, something like that. Yeah. But other than that, it's pretty cool. Perhaps vary the shapes of your trees as well. It's a little bit stagnant. So it's a. I think you were here yesterday for the patron stream, but like I said, like it's very easy to get caught up in the reference photos or anything that you get for forces and stuff. But like trees, yes, technically they can all be straight like this. It's just that it's very boring artistically. So you might want to just like curve it a little bit, just give it a little bit more flair, so that breaks up the verticality of the trees. But other than that, like I'm liking a lot of things with this. Like it's just just make sure your structures, your volume is reading properly here. I see you like doing faces for sure. Like that's a pretty nice face. Yeah, there's not too much anymore. I would say the other thing is just be looser a little bit. Like again, like a lot of times, like what happens is like your stuff is very sharp, which is fine. It's just that you have to build up to it, and if you have problems with the anatomy and stuff, then like you're just sharpening stuff that is fundamentally wrong here. So just be very aware of how you render, and just try to find a way to change your process a little bit so that you're not committing too quickly before you capture the anatomy that works. Again, like it's just much harder to change stuff that you commit to rendering wise. Because now it's like, okay, well, like you could look at this back. It might be pretty hard to change a lot of things. Hopefully, they're on separate layers, but that should be it for now. I don't want to stay too long with that. Just gonna look my own hand a little bit. One thing I have to consider as well when it comes to hands is not every hand is the same either. Like for this character, I'm very wary about the shape of the hand for sure. Because if she's very evil, like a lot of times there's a stereotype where it's like the witch's hand is very bony, very skinny type of thing. So no problem. Hopefully that was helpful. But yeah, like a lot of people have like one way of drawing hands, but realistically everybody's hands are different. Like if you ever see like a construction worker's hands or carpenter's hands versus like some slender like female hand, there are really big differences. So I do have to consider like the actual like the actual boniness, the really subtle articulations of the hands here. So I do want a very bony hand because it makes her look a lot more dangerous. So this hand is actually looking something like I could work with. I'll probably still get a reference, but like that looks a lot better than like what the hell this thing is right here from last year. So as with yesterday, I'm trying to keep my streams to around an hour. So there is 10 minutes left before 3 on my end. So like feel free to ask any other questions. This is not. I know this is not particularly like a really fancy stream because I am refurbishing a piece. I'm not really doing anything that's super creative here, but feel free to ask any questions. I want to bring some of that brightness to his shirt. One thing to consider is sweat. This old man is probably sweating because of what's happening. So like when sweat hits cloth, then it kind of changes the properties of it and kind of gives a little bit of a sheen to it. Very, very subtle, very subtle. I don't need, like, people most likely won't even see it, but I do want to at least hint towards that. Of course, it depends on how do I say, how thick the cloth is, but if this guy's wearing, like, rags, then probably it's pretty it's going to be pretty wet from sweat. Yes, I'm making changes on the old work because you did miss yesterday's stream, I believe, because of the time change or whatever, but I am making a new book. So there are a lot of illustrations I've done in the past where I can just refurbish and just put in the book. There's gonna be a story to it and all that, like really fancy stuff. Just because that like this year I made a new art book, but I couldn't print it out because of COVID-19. And like while the printing press opened up again, like the printing shop on the website, it opened up again recently. But by now it's like, okay, well, it's like half a year later. I might as well just make a new book, and this is really where it's at right now. So my previous book I'll probably just leave digital. This one I'm going to be looking to print it out. Maybe kickstart it, depending on how it looks. But I am confident this one is going to be really, really good. So yeah, I'm just going to be refurbishing a lot of fixing up my old work, just so that I don't have to just make a fresh artwork for every single part of my story. So it makes it a lot easier to deal with. This is on its way here. So much better than my previous version here. Yeah, it's something I learned from just being around professionals. This was meant to be. This piece was one of my for my portfolio for last year, which when I was going to a convention in California, like an industry level convention, I wanted to bring it around to get critiques from professionals, like really high level professionals. So like Magic the Gathering, like professionals and all that jazz, right? So like I kind of started to learn a lot of things from that convention, and then I could have fixed this a while back, but I wanted to improve a lot more from last year before I started fixing stuff. So yeah, this is lighting is one of those things where I kind of improved on, just because like if I want to have like dark like background of lighting, I might as well just push it. Why would I just hold back, right? So, and it seems like a lot of people like this sort of lighting a lot more, like based on social media, based on people's comments on it, like they like the drama that I bring to this sort of thing. So I want to bring in some blues here. Yeah, this is the old piece here, so I can already see massive improvements here. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I mean, like a year changes a lot, man. Like it's one of those things where, like last year, I would say, oh man, I'll never improve more than this, right? But then like once I look back, I'm like even a year ago, it's like, man, I really did improve quite a bit. Like for me especially, because I'm already like considered a professional. Like it's like, how much more professional can I get? That's really it, right? So it's like, for me it's hard to see myself. It's like maybe I'll look at this like next year, I'll be like, oh man, I have ways to make this better, and like, but for now it's like, oh, this is so much better than last year. So it's always going to be a constant like battle. And yeah, colors definitely work a lot better here. Just give it some of that, a few details on his shirt and stuff. I might even add a few textures here and there. Yeah. So the ragged shirts of the peasants, like the medieval era, there'll probably be a little bit of like texture, just because they, if you look at shirts now, of course, like you don't see any of the weavings and stuff, because obviously we use machinery to create clothing, but back then they had to hand weave with a loom or something. So there should be a little bit of texture to the shirt, just so that it looks like it's part of the era. If it's too smooth, then it'll just look like something that was machine made, which is probably not possible for this. I'll have to get reference on how a peasant shirt looks like, but